Could we be talking about the Travers this early in the week? The answer is yes. Trust the profits, it's the formula here, and yes, we are talking about the Travers. You know why? Naira got really good about releasing entries for major races earlier in the week so that we can talk about them. Wasn't the case before, but this year there's been a big shift, and high fives whoever made that decision because it makes our lives easier and we get to promote your product way better. And the Travers is a great product to be promoting here. Have we taken a look at the entries? No, now we have. Yeah, we've got 8 horses entered in. It is it it's a tight field, I must say. We've got some big travelers here, a bunch of callbacks from the Kentucky Derby and the Derby Prep Trail, and Torpedo Anna showing up at the top there. So 8 solid horses that we're looking at here that have a chance to win this. It is August 24th. That is a Saturday. It is a G1 for
$1 million.
plus $250,000 on top of that. BC, no, not BC. I should take that out. That was from last week. Saratoga is going to be run at Saratoga. It is 10 furlongs under. That is a long one, 1.25 miles. We are, I mean, whoever's in this is probably getting ready for the BC Classic. But let's go ahead and get started here, starting with Torpedo Anna. Yeah, Torpedo Anna. All she does is win. 6 wins in 7 races, whole bunch of graded stakes in there. G1s, yeah, we got those. The last one, the CCA Oaks G1 at Saratoga, winning by 4 lengths there over Candied. Stalking the pace in second for a while, closing hard towards the end. Before that, the Acorn Stakes, another G1, winning by 5 lengths there over Leslie's Rose. Stalking the pace again, sitting in second, closing hard, just putting pressure on the pace and blasting through that stretch. Winner of the Kentucky Oaks as well, going gate to wire that time in a huge field, beating just FYI by 4 lengths there. This is a horse that puts him away. A lot of deep 4 to 5 length victories in huge fields. We're not just talking about a lot allowance optional claimers here. Um, she is a threat in this race, I would say, as with many others. Sierra Leone. Yeah, we've been talking about Sierra Leone for a long time now, haven't we? The deep closer that is a favorite for a lot of horse players out there, was a favorite for a lot of horse players going in Kentucky Derby. Just getting second place in that Derby as well. Second place in the Jim Dandy, closing from the back and losing to Fierceness by 1 length in that one. Third at the Belmont, a race that seemed very set up for Sierra Leone, but closing from ninth place and losing to Dornoch by 1+ length in that one. As we mentioned, second place at the Kentucky Derby, losing by a nose to Mystic Dan. Mystic Dan just being a bit closer to the pace, put himself in a better position down the stretch. Sierra Leone charging from the rear, and just losing by a nose there when a lot of us thought that Sierra Leone was going to pull that off. Yeah, so last time he won was in the Bluegrass, coming back from ninth place, 8 lengths back at the half-mile point to beat Just a Touch by 1 length. Very storied career. I mean, you could see always finishing in the money. Sierra Leone, just a really competitive horse. And for trivia night, just know that Freetown is the capital of Sierra Leone. Freetown. There you have it. Unmatched Wisdom. Horse that just wins, it's Unmatched Wisdom, even more so than Torpedo Anna, but of course less so in terms of the caliber of races here. Unmatched Wisdom was 3 out of 3, so 100% win rate. But the only stakes win was the Curlin Stakes, where he set the pace and beat Corporate Power by 1 length, going 9 furlongs in that one. So going a good amount of distance here. The distance I don't think is going to be a problem for Unmatched Wisdom. Stalked the pace in a 9 furlong allowance race at Aqueduct, taking over at the top of the stretch, pushing to win by 5 lengths in that one. This is another Chad Brown horse here. So Chad Brown has Sierra Leone. Chad Brown has Unmatched Wisdom. I read Ortiz on the mount here. Always dangerous. Corporate Power. Let's go back to that Curlin Stakes. Not a graded stakes race, but it's got 2 of the horses that were in this one. Second in the Curlin Stakes to Who were we just talking about there? Unmatched Wisdom? Yes. Second to Unmatched Wisdom. Closing from 2 lengths behind at the top of the stretch there. By the time they reached the finish, it was only 1 length. So Corporate Power was actually making up some ground there, which is something you want to see, especially if we're stretching out to another furlong here, going from 9 to 10. Winner the Sir Barton before that, sitting 1 length off the pace, beating Gold by a nose in that one. Again, a horse that has less of a test than some of the other ones going into this race, so it's going to be a big challenge for him to step up to a G1 here. Baton Down. So third at the Jim Dandy last time out for Baton Down, sitting 1 to 3 lengths off, depending on the point in the race, off the pace. Most of the race finishing 6 lengths behind Fierceness and Sierra Leone, the two that were really charging and challenging each other down the stretch. So Baton Down fell back a bit from that. Did get first at the Ohio Derby, but much less of a challenge there. Going gate to wire in that one, beating Gould's Gold, another one that we get to call back again by just under 2 lengths in that one. Broke his maiden before that, yada yada. A great horse. I think a lot of people really like this horse, but I do feel like we're going to need to see him take another step up. Going to have to level up in order for him to make a dent in this race because it's just stacked full of monsters here. Honor Marie, horse that we haven't really talked about since, I mean, Belmont, yeah, but I mean, since we've been going into the Kentucky Derby and getting on the Derby trail, yeah, Honor Marie was in the Belmont, got fourth place in that one. Much like Sierra Leone, um, a horse that sits way off the pace. I mean, you you look at the beginning of the race, you might count this horse out. Was in 10th place most of the Belmont, and then ended up closing for fourth place, way back. Another deep closer like Sierra Leone, but just doesn't really have the charge that Sierra Leone has. Doesn't make up as much ground like Sierra Leone. Um, was still 5 lengths off of Dornoch in the Belmont. Going to the Kentucky Derby, this is a horse that was in dead last for a good chunk of the race, way back there. Ended up losing by 13 lengths to Mystic Dan, but made it all the way up to 8th place from 20th. Second to Catching Freedom in Louisiana Derby, uh, closing from 9th place in that one, still losing by a length. So it's another one of these deep closers um, that we haven't seen win in a while. I think since the Jockey Club. Yeah, 2 wins in 7 races. Really like the horse, but matching up against the big boys here, Honor Marie does tend to fall short, it seems. Dornoch, talk about a horse that does not fall short, especially the last couple races. So first, the Haskell, leading most of the race there, getting challenged by Timberlake at one point and Mindframe as well, but eventually winning by over a length in that race. First at Belmont, so I mean 2 major wins in a row, and looking for a third one here, pretty impressive. Stalking the pace in that one, stalking the pace set by Seize the Gray, beating Mindframe by half a length in that one. So had a bit of a challenge going those last 2 races with Mindframe. 10th place in the Derby. So here's the thing, Dornoch, I would say going into Bluegrass. So fourth place at Bluegrass, never really got going there. Tried something a little different from what we heard in terms of sitting a little bit off the pace, and it didn't really work out for Dornoch in the Bluegrass. 10th place at the Derby, got the one draw in that one, so had to start all the way on the inside. There was a lull here for Dornoch, where I think people started to count him out. Going into Bluegrass, I think a lot of people had Dornoch in the top 5 in terms of Derby contenders. Bluegrass dropped him down. Kentucky Derby didn't do him any favors. And then a bit of a surprise with Belmont and continuing on with Haskell. Now everyone's really high on Dornoch. It's interesting to see that big turnaround. Winner of the Remsen, winner of the Fountain of Youth, in a really small race in that Fountain of Youth, not a super competitive one, but obviously coming back with Belmont and Haskell. What were the reasons for Bluegrass and Kentucky Derby? Could be the post position of Kentucky Derby, could be trying new things, different things out in Bluegrass. By the time he reached Bluegrass, he was already in the Derby, so I don't think it mattered a whole lot there. But also, Kentucky Derby's tough, deep field. I don't think he got on the pace the way he wanted to. So if he gets on the pace here early, um, Dornoch is definitely going to be a challenger here. And Fierceness. Whew. I mean, you want to talk about valleys. Fierceness is all about peaks and valleys, on, off, hot, cold, whatever you want to call it. So the last race, he was hot. Winner of the Jim Dandy taking over at about the three-quarter mark there, beating Sierra Leone by one length in that one with a pretty sharp time, too, a 149 on 9 furlongs. 15th place, though, at the Kentucky Derby, was definitely stalking the pace from that third position. Looked like he was set up just nice. Not having enough to close, maybe got into a little bit of a bumping battle there that really slowed him down for the distance that they ask you for at the Kentucky Derby. Difficult to close out if you're spending a lot of energy battling physically. But whatever you want to call it, I mean, what is it with Fierceness? Is it the number of horses? I don't think it's that because in the juvenile, the BC juvenile, where you had that huge win over Muth and Locked, it was like a 10-horse field. It was a double-digit field, I believe. If not, it was nine. It was a big enough field to where I would say that I don't think that would be the case. The Kentucky Derby is a whole different beast, but we're going through what it is for Fierceness. Is it just every other race? If so, count them out of this one because this is the next one after a great performance at the Jim Dandy. Um, I mean, we can look at a couple things. Was he battling with Hades and the Holy Bull? Was he turning around too quickly there? I'm still not sure what it is with Fierceness, but I do know this: when he puts together a good race, his best race is better than the races of all these other horses that I've seen. In my opinion, at least, I think that his best is better than everyone else's best. So for that reason, Fierceness is going to be the horse that I go with here for better or for worse. And there you have it with my safe pick. So safe Fierceness. I think his best is the best. If he brings it here, if he doesn't, he falls back. Then it's going to be ugly. Let's just face it. He's one of those horses. He could fall out of the top three, especially with this field. There's horses that I was thinking about trying to get into my top four here, but it's really difficult to get past the four that are right here. My safe pick is going to be Torpedo Annie. Sorry, my value pick. And it's difficult to say value pick at this point because we don't have the morning line yet. Comes out later in on Monday, and this I'm taping before then. Uh, yeah, hard to see who's going to get the lower morning line here, where you're going to get the value from, because you can make a case for all four of these horses, all three under Fierceness, that might give you some value. I think Torpedo Annie, though, I'll throw that out there. A horse that just wins, and yeah, she runs against fillies and mares, and but she beats them by 4 lengths, 5 lengths in the highest stakes races in her class. So I think for that, she's a bit of the outsider here, but you really got to consider Torpedo Annie. Just puts bullet races together. So throwing her in there, but you also have to talk about Sierra Leone and Dornoch. I mean, this is like top crust, cream of the crop. It might be chalk, but I think it's right. I'm trying to figure out who else I can place in there, and I'm struggling to see anyone that beats these four. So with that in mind, what do you guys have? Give me your top three. Give me your winner because I think you can definitely debate the winner. Fierceness I'm putting on there, but obviously Fierceness full of potential holes there. If Fierceness puts his race together, yeah, he should be a winner. But how often does that happen? Only every other time. So obviously, if you got a winner out there, throw them in the comment section. Let us know what you think, and good luck to you.